Hey folks, what's going on? Since I'm traveling today, I'm recording from a laptop, so the audio and video quality won't be as good as usual, but the content will be the same. There are a lot of crazy things going on that I need to discuss with you all because, to be honest, Donald Trump has been very busy and has made a lot of announcements regarding tariffs, including once again discussing making Canada the 51st state. Of course, senators from the US government are also introducing some massive laws into Congress. Therefore, I believe that several of these factors will soon have a significant effect on the markets. Furthermore, yesterday we witnessed a huge sell-off. The markets are currently rebounding, but price action will shortly follow. I want to start by discussing the actual situation. For example, what about tariffs? What is this trade war about? What is happening in the United States and Canada, since that is currently having the biggest effect on the markets? As we can see, President Trump recently stated that Canada becoming our 51st state is the only sensible course of action. In his own words, he also stated that this would completely eliminate all tariffs and everything else. Therefore, I believe that Donald Trump is now clearly stating his position and the real justification for the tariffs. His goal in imposing tariffs on Canada in particular is to reintegrate Canada into the US. Now, this is something I have been stating from the beginning. I never imagined that any substance was the real reason for the tariffs. That was always an excuse, in my opinion. Canada has always been the 51st state, according to Donald Trump. Currently, as a Canadian, I genuinely want this to occur. Is Trump's approach of blaming it on other factors something I agree with? Not always, however. I will never be able to tell for sure if it was his precise plan. We only know that he wants to combine the United States and Canada at this particular moment. Now, it doesn't really matter how I feel about any of it because the markets will be significantly impacted. Canada has been extremely clear about their position. They stated that they will continue to hike tariffs on their end and that they will battle this issue rather than simply letting it happen. Now, I do believe that this will cause Canada to suffer far greater economic harm than the United States, and I do believe that overall, in light of several of Donald Trump's recent announcements, this will have an impact on Canadian business and might possibly render it irreparably crippled if a solution is not found soon. Therefore, we will discuss that shortly, but I also want to discuss Ukraine. According to reports, Ukraine is now prepared to sign a minerals deal with the United States, which would essentially return all of the money that the United States gave to Ukraine without providing a clear path for reimbursement. This is significant for several reasons, including the fact that it is a component of a ceasefire deal. Therefore, whether it's stocks or cryptocurrencies, a post-war surge is a very real occurrence in the investment markets. Additionally, quantitative easing typically begins at that time as well. We're likely to see industrial investment, quantitative easing, and an expanding economy in order to take advantage of a U.S. minerals deal. The U.S. will also need greater liquidity to exploit all of these additional resources. In essence, what I'm arguing is that after this truce and peace agreement are reached, the money printer is probably going to continue. Tons of minerals will be delivered to the United States. There are essentially two significant events taking place at the moment. On the one hand, tariffs have the potential to cause inflation over time. Additionally, there is a U.S. minerals deal that is likely to trigger quantitative easing once more if the peace accords are reached, which would again lead to inflation. Everyone has a lot more motivation to buy cryptocurrencies thanks to these two factors. For XRP holders in particular, this is crucial because people will seek out alternate fiat money systems, and cryptocurrency is one of them. During the previous cycles in 2021, we witnessed the government printing enormous sums of money. Hundreds of billions, finally trillions. Yes, what was the outcome of that? Consequently, Bitcoin's value increased from about $5,000 to, I believe, $70,000 at its highest point during that cycle. No matter how you look at it, that's more than 10x gains. Furthermore, the gains made by other altcoins were significantly greater. Solana and other altcoins performed wildly, therefore I do believe that the lack of trust in their government will likely lead to an increasing number of individuals turning to cryptocurrencies. Simply put, dismantle this mining contract between the United States and Ukraine. That is to say, Ukrainians don't trust their government to act in their best interests. In essence, Zelensky sold off his nation in order to maintain his hold on power for as long as possible. He has, threatened Russia into going to war, and he is attempting to continue it. The only way that this war will end is if the United States declares that it will no longer provide financial support now that the Trump administration is in power and Zelensky has no other option. If he doesn't do this, he runs the possibility of losing Ukraine entirely. Additionally, as I already stated, Russia is not even interested in doing anything. So what's happening there is just complete madness. However, it appears that peace is on the horizon, which is significant because, once more, all of these fantastic events such as quantitative easing and tariffs will occur, which will benefit cryptocurrencies in the long run. Since things are getting pretty heated between the US and Canada, I want to return to tariffs for a moment. Therefore, President Trump has criticized Canada for its 25% electricity. Here's what he said now. They will pay a financial price, he warns, and by this he means Canada. Because it's so significant that history books will continue to discuss it for years to come. This is a big statement, of course. In essence, Trump is claiming that he will totally destroy the Canadian economy. To be honest, I do believe him. I have no doubt that he is well capable of achieving it. The economy of the United States is over 10 times that of Canada. Canada is more dependent on the US than the US is on Canada. Although I hate to admit it, the truth is that it's just the case. The world's largest economy is that of the United States. They do have far greater clout in this case because they are the world's reserve currency. And while Canada is capable of fighting and trying to hit Americans where they hurt, the long-term result will be a debilitated Canadian economy, as our largest industry, the oil sector, is entirely devastated. In the short term, the United States has sufficient oil reserves and methods of obtaining it, while Canada lacks the means to make up for these losses. If the United States cuts ties with Canada, it will take 5 years before Canada can construct a refinery of the size of the US to guarantee that they can fill that demand gap. However, the United States doesn't actually need us in that role and can easily keep refining their own oil. The Canadian government's egregious incompetence even permitted this to occur. It's utterly foolish that we didn't have our own refineries. Therefore, the Canadian side is simply lacking in leadership. Furthermore, I can't really hold Trump accountable for his actions. His only goal is to act in America's best interests. Indeed, it would be better for America if Canada became the 51st state because, presuming they accept and own it, they could then examine all of the egregious overspending that occurs in the Canadian government, like they currently do with Doge. Additionally, since Canada is a part of the United States, they may make sure that all of the money they are sending it is no longer being squandered. Correct. Therefore, I completely understand Trump's perspective, and I support a lot of his actions. As a Canadian, I may not particularly enjoy it, but I have to admire his business sense. President Trump is currently discussing increasing steel, aluminum, and Canadian tariffs to 50%. He asserts that Canada needs to quickly remove its anti-American farmer tariff, which has long been seen as absurd and ranges from 250 to 390% on a variety of U.S. dairy products. Now, there is just one more way that Trump could easily bring down Canadian industry, in a completely other industry than oil, gas, and energy. The fact that America can produce significantly more in these sectors than Canadian products is the reason Canada really applied anti-American farmer tariffs. Therefore, in order to keep Canadian farmers competitive in the market and to guarantee their financial success, Canada imposed high tariffs on these goods in an effort to reduce American competition in Canadian markets. Now, not everyone would necessarily agree with this in a free market environment. I'll let you all express your thoughts on that in the comments section below. Overall, though, this is yet another significant step from Trump. In essence, he is saying, all right, listen, would you like to play this tariff game? Let's discuss these tariffs right here, let's take these out and see what occurs. Correct. It's just another piece of leverage, isn't that right, that Trump possesses over Canada. He's using that to his advantage. Really, you give it some thought for